This episode is incredibly special because in October I had a massive shift in my life, feeling a call to lead a tribe of men, and then Greg came out of nowhere from Australia. We met in LA, and since then it's been the most magical, effortless unfolding, hosting a men's group together every single week, and it feels powerful. So I just had to drop that nugget of magic so you can see how life has been working for me, and so you can get a little juice before this podcast, because he is someone that's super special, feels like a brother I've known for millions of light years. There were just fires here in LA, and since that time, all the leaders in my sphere, all the conscious business owners are going through the most chaotic time, and I see it as two options. So we have the option to be filled with this fear and go back to how we were, or we have this fear and we know that we're stepping into this new paradigm. And so either way, there's fear. So it can be super confusing because it's so scary because we're trailblazing a new way, yet the one that's trailblazing is exciting and it's exhilarating and it feels like you're expanding. So can you discern the difference between that fear-based decision that puts us back and there's no excitement, it's just like that's the safe thing to do, the old version of safety, and can you see the other one that has fear come up because it's shouting at you? The stronger the fear, the closer the breakthrough, that you said, if I take this and it goes well, I am expanded and this is who I want to be now. Excitement, joy, bliss, that is the high frequency. You have the keys, because if you choose that one despite feeling fear, you're not acting on the fear, you're acting despite the fear. And for me, my best song of all time drops tomorrow, Feather Ruffler. Best in the terms of how good it felt, and I see this new level of my rapping ability. And the freaking quote of the day is, the opposite of scarcity and lack is not abundance, it's trust. During this time where everything feels unstable and there's so much unknown, can you get to a place that the unknown is the land of possibilities and it's safe? So the more unknown you feel, the more safe you feel, because you're more guided, because there's more opportunities, because there's more magic potential. And so often the unknown is scary because we don't know what it is, and that's how our mind survival is wired. But that's not the truth. The unknown is where all the newness comes, all the growth. So can you just step into this unknown with that confidence, despite how much up-leveling fear rising in you? You see it, you feel it all, and that's the difference between bypassing and not bypassing. Bypassing is saying, the fear's over there, I don't want to feel it, I don't want to feel it. The true growth is feeling all the fear, doing it anyway, and noticing I can hold all of it. I can feel all the fear and I can still stay true. So I just wanted to jump on here as like a mini vlog plus podcast, give you an update. I'm having more fun than ever, and I feel life expanding in a new way. Life is just unfolding, and the magic that's happening is just astounding. So I want you guys to tap into that, and I hope to help you through my content and share my journey. And this year's all about conviction. I know I want to be an energy coach, a performer, a speaker, a rapper, and I don't know how all of those, what the balance is of all of them, but I know how good it feels and the level I'm going to, and it's insane. If you can find your impossible dream, that's how you find motivation now. I feel so lucky that I get to go for these dreams, and every single day is a step towards them. And if you can see that magic of life and put your energy first to say, you know what, I'm gonna do what I love now. I'm not gonna wait anymore. I'm not gonna wait for security. There is no security. The more money I have will not change how secure I feel within. If you can find that courage to do it now, that is your key to living your best life. And that's all I want. Let's have some freaking fun.
This a run the world type shit.
Give me all the gas, give me all the smoke. Barely getting any of it now. I'm getting bread, y'all are toast. Got my shorty hitting notes. She a freak, crown to toe, black sheep. Listen close when I speak, here to go. I wanna trigger you, spark it up is what I'm here to do. I'm all in, not a different mood. Young dog fitness, what I'm fit to do. Straight to the top with a simple move. Want it all, I'm a simple dude. Can't give you a reason, times are changing. Check the weather, this my season. Okay, I see you, Steve. Imposter syndrome, I'm a fraud. Okay, I see you, Steve. Every bar I channel God. But I see you, Steve. Man, I hate to burst your bubble, but I'm done being humble, and these feathers getting ruffled.
Welcome to another episode of the Manhood podcast. Today I'm here with my good friend Steve Searley. Going to give him a little introduction, and then we're going to drop into all things energy, because this is the Energy Steve. Steve Searley is an energy coach who guides high performers to break free from subconscious fears and step into their authentic power. Starting with his journey to dunking, quitting corporate life and following his heart across the country, he embodies the transformation he teaches. His approach combines energy mastery with practical action, showing true leadership starts with leading yourself. Whether coaching executives, performing on stage, or activating groups, Stephen's message is clear: energy first. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you so much for having me, dude.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for being here. And for those who are just joining in on this conversation, this is the Manhood podcast. The idea is, as I get to meet epic men on my journey, guys that have inspired me, that you get to come along for the ride, be a fly on the wall, and have these conversations as I get to learn from these epic people and we learn from one another, that you get to be there as well and to share in this experience. So to give you a bit of a background, Steve and myself met maybe 3 months ago when I first landed in LA. He was running an epic event down at Mudwater, which is a beautiful place that we've been working with and have been supporting us as well. But we met at Mudwater at one of his events called...
I think that one was the Thanksgiving. It
Yep,
was just a potluck, just to get people. There was a lot of people that were not leaving, myself included, didn't have family, so a lot of events I throw are to just get people together.
Yeah.
So that was one of them. And somehow you found it, and it was amazing,
Absolutely.
of course. Yeah.
And I found myself very quickly in a familiar place. I moved to LA not knowing anybody, and Steve was like one of those key people that I met, like the first people that I met that really connected me into community, connected me into the underground culture that I was looking for, and people that were looking to do heart-centered things in the world and to grow themselves, better themselves, and do it in really conscious, beautiful ways. So yeah, we've been journeying together now organically. I started a run club over here, something that I've been doing for a long time. Steve started joining me on that, and then we've now started collaborating in that way, this community event that is for men, for men's growth, that they can really work with themselves through their movements. And also we run a men's circle together. So within 3 months, our relationship's gone from like nothing to like boom, fireworks. And it's been a beautiful experience. So that gets you up to date with where we're up to now. And as I was speaking about in the intro, Energy Steve is Steve's nickname, and it's because he's an energy coach. He helps people to work on their energy first. So taking from that point, man, I just would love to hear some of your story and like where you've come from and what brought you into this place of wanting to support people to work on their energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Real quick, I want to jump back to how we met because it's so cool, because on my side, I had just been like, I'm looking to host men's groups. I'm looking for a partner to do this with. And then from that side, it's like, you're looking to be integrated into community. I'm like, I have this community. I need someone to lead it with. And it was just like a perfect match on both sides. So it's really magical on my end as well. So it's really cool. So my story, the first chapter that's really fun is my dunk story. Trained myself to dunk a basketball at only 5'10". And that was the first time I committed to doing something that I love to do. It was a dream as a kid. A lot of young boys want to dunk a basketball, but being the shortest out of all my friends, it felt impossible. And then one day it shifted to what if. And I believe that's my first gift, is being able to see the possibility and go for it. So I have this innate courage to say, this might be 1%. It was a 0 at one point in my life, and then something clicked where it's like, what if it's possible? Let me just go towards it. And then by going towards it, I realized it was possible to dunk, did that, and it took me on a huge journey of self-discovery and growth, noticing my subconscious, noticing my limiting beliefs. I was in a job I didn't like. So I say all that because as I trained myself to dunk, not only did I achieve a dream, it opened up my mind to be like, okay, what else was I looking at as a 0% possibility? What else could I open up to that seems impossible? One being my corporate job, but then also as I progressed in dunking, I started to maximize my energy, because I started to realize some days I'd go to the gym, I'd feel fantastic, other days not. How do I get that more consistent? Started dialing in nutrition. So I like to say it started with the physical foundations of training properly, eating properly, sleeping properly. And then the next level of that was the mental side, which was like learning about my limiting beliefs, reading, journaling, mindset. That led me to visualization, which led me to meditation, which led me to the spiritual side. And I realized all of this was like a calling. It was a understanding I'm listening to this joy that's pulling me towards this thing. And this goal of dunking has no purpose. It's just for the fun, but it's helping me grow so much. So as I'm in the corporate job, I'm trying a million different things. I'm trying to become a podcaster, a YouTube vlogger. I was trying coaching as well. I got life coach certified, and I also was doing freelance video and editing on the side. all while I'm doing these things, I'm trying to coach dunking too because I have these skills, but I didn't feel like coaching dunking because I had this imposter syndrome. Like, if I can dunk, anybody can dunk. I didn't really give myself any credit for the balls I had to go for it or stick with it. And also, when people ask me to dunk, I would start to train them, but then they would lose motivation or they wouldn't have energy. So I kept coming back to energy, which is like the first rendition of Energy Steve, which was like, what workouts do I do? Do I do squats? I'm like, it's not about that. Like, do you really want to dunk? Like, you have to learn your body. Like, I wanted to teach a deeper level of than just training. Like, try squats 10 reps. It didn't make sense to me. And then people I worked with, I really started to lean into that motivation, inspiration side. And if they weren't sleeping well, how are they going to ever train hard? Because dunking, you have to push yourself to a new level. And so I was really big on that. Like, you have to maximize that first. And that led to me understanding that people don't have these beliefs in themselves. So they'd be like, they didn't sleep well. Why not? Well, I was doing this. Why were you doing that? Oh, well, it just went deeper. So I started to realize I was frustrated at the time because I was trying to make a living doing these things on the side, but people weren't seeking what I wanted to teach them. They wanted to just dunk, but I wanted to teach them what was deeper. So a few years later, quit my corporate job to do my first step, which was photo and video, because I was doing that so much for myself. I started doing that for other people, creating a ton of content. I really loved doing that for people, and the same thing happened where some people saw the art side where they're like, wow, that was a really beautiful video you made. They didn't really care how many views it got or how many sales it made. They just loved the art. They felt expressed. But then there's other people I worked with where I'd make a video for them that was killer. They would love it initially, but then when they posted online, it didn't really get a lot of views. So they were like, we need to try again. I don't think that was the right one. I'm like, no, that's not what I do. I'm not here to, like, I love the analogy of a painting. If someone sells a painting, like if I say go make a painting that you love so much, you're gonna make it. It could sell for $100,000 if you're a famous artist. But if I ask an artist, the same artist, make me a painting worth $100,000, he can't do that, you know? It's about what you put into it and your heart and what people see. So I love the art side. So fast forward with that, just this past year, I let go of the creative directing, which I did for like 5 years. I still do my own content. But what I learned through the camera was, one, on the basketball court and in my life with music, is I loved filming myself on camera and expressing myself. And then with the camera with other people, I loved helping them express themselves. And that came to the same feeling of, it's not about getting your message perfect or your voice perfect. Those can all be worked on. But it's about, why are you sharing your message? What is it behind your message, and how do you feel showing up on camera? So a lot of people I work with now is they might have an online business, but they're afraid to be on camera. And that's what I love to help with, is the confidence and connecting to that. Your joy is what is your highest return on anything that you do. Is if you're passionate, it's going to show and the words will flow. And of course, some people are more expressive than others, but that's what the camera taught me. I love being the performer. And then I love helping people express themselves. I don't need the camera to do it. I want to just unlock their joy. So, and the last one was, I moved to California. So about 3 years ago now, following the camera and following what I want to do is, I've had this huge, exciting feeling of when I landed in California. I came for 2 days to visit. And before that, I was like seeking spiritual community, seeking brotherhood. I didn't know it was people at the time, but I was like, I just feel like I'm not amplifying myself, and I'm trying to meet people, but it's not happening. Landed here, and within 2 days I'm like, this is it. And I never left. I had just signed an apartment in Florida. I had all my clients technically there, and I didn't know anybody here, but I just said yes to that excitement. And that's the same thing I said for the beginning, which what dunking taught me is like, follow that excitement. You don't know where it's going, but you have to take that step. And since then, started leading community. Not only was I in it, I was seeking just to be around a little bit of it. I started leading it, found that I love hosting things, and then I started, as you've seen when you came here, is like I know everybody in this city, and it feels so amazing to be so deeply immersed and feel like I found my role within the community. Because not everybody wants to be on stage. I do, but also there's other things I don't want to do that are complemented by that. For example, the whole space of Mudwater is a giant space. I have no interest of building out a space or creating that space. I like to fill it and ignite the people. So that's where I'm at. I don't know that's my story. That's how I got here. And now I'm pretty clear on this year working with you as well. It's like, people deeply need to show up as their authentic selves. I love to do that one-on-one. I love to help small groups do that. I feel like that dynamic. And then next is like the bigger performances, whether it's public speaking or music. So I'm open to that.
Amazing, brother.
Yeah.
And I know a huge part of what you speak about and what you share and what you're sharing online, which is epic, it's captivating, I love your content, is around energy. And I'm just curious to hear, like, what's your relationship with energy, particularly because we have these particular words that are just linguistic representations that hold a lot of meaning underneath. And I'm just curious for you particularly, what does like energy mean to you? And when you speak about it, how do you experience it for yourself?
Yeah, you are so good at bringing words to feelings and emotions. That's what I love about when you speak as well. For me, energy became, during my spiritual journey, when I first started dunking, I started to question, what am I doing at my job, which led to who am I? And looking deeper into that, I started looking into quantum physics and spiritual texts and different things. And it became sort of my view of the universe, that we are just all a vibration. At the very core of every atom, it's just a vibration. So there's the whole actual tangible piece of the vibration of the universe that we're all connected to. And so that is like the one energy. So I believe we are one energy. And then because we're in this universe, we are all different expressions of that one energy. And if we can, so energy to me is we are tapping into that source energy and sharing our unique version of that energy. And so the way I operate is helping people feel that natural state that they are when they are just allowing that energy to come through them. So we are part of this universe, but also a unique expression of it at the same time. So the question was, how do I operate with it daily, maybe? Or
yeah, like what does it mean to you? And like, how do you experience?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now what I do is I try to get out of the way and see, everything in my life has taught me to remove all the blocks of my natural energy. So like I said, I like to be on stage. I love helping people express themselves. That literally excites me. And I feel like we all have that natural, joyous energy coursing through us. But with life and business and other people, we start to shift or close down to what really lights us up. And it's hard to put into words because it's a feeling, but it's that feeling of passion. It's what makes you come alive. Like when I said I moved to California, there was no reason. Dunking, there was no reason. It just was so exciting. And a lot of it is that question of like, what if this is possible? Is that feeling of like, wow, that makes me feel alive. And even now with like my energy coaching is when I was trying to think about, do I want to be a creative director? I can build a huge company. I would love to help people on camera. And also I could see I was very impactful for the world. I want to be of service to the world. That feels good. But energy coaching, I was like, if I only did that, that was like exhilarating. That was like even more exciting. And I didn't really miss the creative directing. Creative directing was kind of just a way my physical mind saw me being free or financially free. And so that's how I operate now, is like what lights me up the most. And sometimes the blocks are, how do I get there? How does it look? What happens next? But if you can look at your life and saying, this would be the most exciting, and then let go of how, and then you have like little clues every little moment. Just this podcast, for example, like you asking me to be on it was a hell yes. And that's one way I like to help my clients is like, if you could do anything, what would it be? So getting clear on what would light you up. And you might not know, but you have to start trying things, even if it's like random things that excite you. I want to go to this Thanksgiving potluck like you went to, or I want to move to LA, or I want to visit. Like, you got to take these steps. And one of my favorite quotes is Steve Jobs saying, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. So I guess to sum it all up is following the energy or being the energy is like, try to visualize what is your greatest, most ideal self, and know that you are that person now. And there's no separation, but that's the journey of life, to be like, what's in the way of that version? And that excitement is here now. And I've had so many beautiful experiences when I do that, that things unfold, that I'm like, oh wow, that's what I want to teach people too, because it's always right there. It's always within. And that what makes me feel like a man. Coming back to this podcast, is that you're trusting your internal compass. Yeah. You're trusting what's true to you, and no one can tell you what lights you up. Yeah. And I love what that phrase of what lights you up, what makes you come alive, because I think we all know that feeling. And then there's the thoughts that come right after. So this would be amazing to do, but how does it make money? Or, but what if I don't have time? Or, but I have a family, I can't do these things. I've heard it all, but I believe if you take that step, things shift to align you with your highest energy.
Absolutely, I love that, dude. And that last bit you spoke about of like when you feel that inspiration and then the fears that come in, I think like most of us can have had an experience of that, of like, there's a huge amount of excitement there, and then just like the objections, the limitations of like, but I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money. And I think this is something that would be really powerful for us to drop into next as well. And like, when that does come up for you, when you're working with your energy, and knowing that this energy is leading you into being this more even full and expressed version of yourself.
Definitely.
How do you work with these?
It's a really good question. That is the dance. That's the ultimate dance. And what's really powerful, that reminder of recently, we had these fires in LA, so many unknowns, so much uncertainty. A lot of fear came up. And the first reminder is, even if you're about to take the step and you're super inspired, it's almost, maybe this even, it's different for every case, but sometimes I'm so inspired, it's almost like equal as much fear, because it's so crazy fun that there's so much fear because it's so illogical to the mind. So the first point is that it's not about you're so inspired that there's no fear. Sometimes you're so inspired, but you feel all this fear. So it's not like you're going to transcend fear and not feel it. For example, this podcast has no fear. A lot of like, maybe like some, if I'll speak incorrectly, but like, it's not going to really hurt my life. There's not like a lot of risk. But for example, last week when I chose to go to this Airbnb that was more expensive than I anticipated, I'm trying to run a business, there's fires going on. It's like, that was exciting to go there, but a lot of fears of what if. So being able, as a man, being able to hold both is one way to navigate that fears. Be like, okay, get super clear. The first word I always go with is clarity. What are you clear is your heart and your mind. I like to really create distance between those two. You're going to have that dance constantly. But if my heart is saying, this would be fun, this would be inspiring, which is good for my business, it'd be great to connect with people, all these different things that feel heart-centered. And then, okay, what does my mind want to say? So I do a practice, like when I journal, like what does my heart say? What does my mind say? If my mind says, it doesn't seem practical, it doesn't seem responsible, it's actually safe, which is because it's like outside of the city where the smoke was happening. So it is actually safe. So you start to almost do like pros and cons with your heart and your mind. And then when you get so clear that these ones over here say it's more of the mental aspect, these are all fears. These are all the truth to me. And we all have our own truth. Which one do you act on? So no matter how loud the fears are, if you can get super clear that the fear you're hearing is, I'm not being practical, I'm not being responsible, whatever comes up for you, and it feels like lack to me, like that felt like scarcity and lack, and my truth was, this is good for my central nervous system, this is good for my stability, this is good to be around good people, this helps my mind be at ease because I'm not in a chaotic environment. All those things are who I want to be. And that's actually why I go by Be the Energy, Steve, because you don't really get to that place and then feel it. You have to be that person now. So have those old stories. You write the new stories. I'm a person that trusts that when I act in this way, things unfold. When I trust in my heart, things unfold. When I can feel this inspiration, that is the greatest thing I can do for my business, for my relationships. And then you act on that person. So despite seeing all the fears and feeling all of them, if you can get so clear, that's the first step.
Beautiful. Something that you were speaking about there, almost like going back to the very first piece, was being able to hold these two polarities, right? And I just think of the importance of almost like that being one of the very preliminary steps that really opens us up to this other whole way of creation that you've stepped us through now. And I know so much of my life in the past when I was, like before I had my big sort of growth pattern in my life and I stepped into this new way of living and seeing myself, it was me maybe avoiding holding that tension of both, because
Yes.
sometimes it feels counterproductive, especially if you're not used to that process of like there being so much fear there and there's excitement, and you almost want to make a decision straight away and get it over and done with, so you don't have to hold this, whether it's for or against it, but rushing that decision. But what I'm hearing and what you're speaking is being able to actually sit in that process, do the journaling on the different sides. What are they holding for me? And I'm just seeing like and feeling in my body this transformation process that even happens through that practice of being able to not rush that process, but sit with the polarities. And a really important aspect being almost this emotional intelligence and resilience to be able to sit with, because ultimately it's emotions in the body when there's these two things, and it's like, whoa, what am I going to do here? And
So
not
good.
knowing what's going to happen. So yeah, that's really powerful point. And for you with that, if I was to bring it to that emotional resilience, using that as like that foundation to be able to make decisions from, where do you feel you've been able to create strength in that particular part of your being?
Emotional resilience. So for me, like I said, that practice of knowing what's in my heart, what's on my mind, is been a really powerful practice for me to discern the two. And then holding those polarities, from my own research of how I operate life, is like nothing's going to ever be certain. And especially as an entrepreneur, it's a really big test of how much you can hold. For example, like say you have an employee, you have to manage that person, you have to hope trust in them a little bit. But as you grow and you have 10 employees, maybe 100 if that's your way of operating, it's like you have to hold all of that trust at once. So that's just one example of how like the more you're able to see it all, like when you raise your awareness, I believe we see more, we feel more, and it's not about that it doesn't affect you. It's just that you're able to sit with all of it at once. Like, for example, these fires, there's chaos, there's nature, there's other people that you want to help, there's your own center, like all of these things, like that is the most, for me, that's the most freeing way to live life. Instead of saying, I'm going to do it one way, it's like, what if everything happens and everything's uncertain? Can I still be centered and balanced there? That is like the ultimate practice, because no matter what's going on around you, it's like waves. You stay centered as you go. And everything I've done has allowed me, like even right now, like when things look low or up or down, it's like when you go through that down, if you're able to just sit with it all, you can flow easier with it all. So the question was kind of emotional resilience and
how you've trained that within yourself. And what I'm hearing from you is like you've been doing it through your journey, like life's provided the opportunities for you to be able to practice and move with this.
Yeah, so I've seen it like as steps. I made a graphic once where it's like you take this courageous step, and then it's like now you sit and wait like to integrate at that new level. And so for like it's like training. Training's a really simple example. It's like you push through workouts and then you feel sore, but because you like know that your soreness is growing your muscle, you're okay feeling sore, right? And so like I've had that in my emotional life, in my relationships, in my business, and I think my gift has been to express it, meaning express it verbally, but also like express the step, like, and so when I take that step, I'm like, oh, this is where I want it to go, and then I'm like, wait, now all this fear comes up, or all this unknown. Like say I take a step in my business where I say no to a big opportunity because it's not who I want to be anymore, all this fear comes up. It's like, okay, this is just like training. So I sit with that. What are my emotions right now? I'm afraid that I just said no to an opportunity, but the truth is I just said yes to my alignment. So it's like, so my training, the way I've gotten here is like take the step and then assess from there. So you take the step and then breathe. That's it. And then what happens then is like when you breathe at that new level, like, oh wow, I can hold this. That becomes your new baseline. So that's one practice, is just doing it, taking the step and just being present with it. Like we did a meditation before this. I think just checking in with yourself is really powerful. And then also leaning on people. So having brotherhood in my life, coaches, and I love to share it. The more I share what I'm going through, the more people can reflect back to me what's going on. Like, this is what I'm thinking, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm noticing. Like, am I doing this right? And it's really helpful to have other people just reflect back. So community is a really big one, to be like, you're not alone in this. And community, journaling, and meditation.
Love that, bro. a few things that landed for me. The first was, it reminded me of a bit of a process I'm going through at the moment, and how there's, I've got these big visions for what I'm wanting to continue to create with my life. I feel like I've come a long way, and there's a next whole level. And I notice myself sometimes in a little bit of a victimhood mentality of like, I've got too much on, I need to cut things back, I need to make things less. But yet what I'm hearing from this and what I've been learning for myself as well is actually these are opportunities for me to continue to up-level my capacity to be able to hold more, because I want more in my life. It's not about actually cutting things down or dropping things off, or it's actually opening myself up to how can I allow myself to hold even more and allow these blocks to move through by sitting in this. So just something that reminded me of a tangible lesson that I'm going through right now, where it's like, it's not about less, it's actually about more, and me becoming more to hold the more of what my heart actually desires. And then the second piece that you're speaking to was about community. And I know this as a solid piece in my life as well, the importance of when we are in a group, it's like our nervous system can co-regulate with those people around us. We almost create this energy amongst us that allows us to step further, to go harder, go longer than what we would be able to just by ourselves. And just this reminder of like, we are designed to be pack animals as humans as much as we are also consciousness, living a human experience. There's also this very human part of us, very animal part of us, which is our bodies, which a lot of the time ends up being really that limiting factor. If we can't keep our nervous system in a state of rest and restore and in a peaceful state, we can't actually reach and tap into all of our higher functioning capacity. And you said as part of this, like the community is super important. So I can feel in my heart what some of the questions that are coming up for people around this, because it's like, I know everybody wants to have like that tribe of people. There's not one person alive that doesn't desire to have beautiful people around them that can support them in their life. And I see you out in LA doing your thing, and you just connect with people so beautifully and effortlessly, or at least this is the way it seems from the outside. I'd just love for you to share your process with the potential of inspiring people as to how easy it gets to be. Like,
it gets easy. I really want to come back to what you said about like almost like owning your own way, that you're seeing that you want to do more of yourself, hold more. But the emotional resilience is such a key thing I'm still feeling in as well. And when I was younger, I would suppress myself, and I didn't feel like I could be myself. There were some friends I could and some I couldn't, and that was way harder than how it feels now when I said, you know what, this is how I truly feel, and I just express it and I do it, and then I feel more free. So when it comes back to my own emotional resilience, it's like I was feeling almost, when you're like constricted and not being yourself, that felt more emotionally taxing than when you feel your emotions. Like, you know what, I am frustrated, or I am down on myself, or afraid. Like when you feel it all, I think that's the biggest way I've practiced to feel emotionally resilient, is to feel it all. Like I'm scared all the way, like, and then follow that. Like I'm afraid I'm gonna run out of money, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be embarrassed, I'm gonna be homeless, and then I'm gonna die. So like you feel it all is one of the biggest practices for emotional resilience. That came up for me as well. It's like not trying to like regulate them, not trying to change them, but just like my body is feeling terrified.
I think that's really powerful to add, especially when we're speaking about this high energy and being able to like soar above life sometimes and ride the energy, but you're also speaking here about the shadow work of actually allowing ourselves to go into the depths, which is the other half of the polarity that lets us ride high. So thank you for adding that into the conversation.
And that goes into the question you asked of like how I naturally connect with people, is because I went so deep within myself of these things, I feel this freedom to just be myself. And then that's like my natural state, is saying those things. I think I talked to you a couple months ago, like there's little urges where I'm like, I just want to say like something to this woman at this coffee shop, like your laptop bag, where'd you get it, or something. Like that was an urge, and I used to block that because it was like, there's no reason, I don't want to, all these fears, but I don't act on that. So my natural way, and I love it, I learned it from my human design too, is I am the initiator. So when you said like you're learning to hold more for yourself, is like, that's what I would want people to do, is what is so true to you. And so when I'm in my natural state, it looks like I'm doing so much, but to me I'm doing so little, because I'm doing what's so easy and natural for me. So point is for me, like connecting with people and starting conversations is very natural, and it almost like opportunities present themselves to do it. But I've worked with clients that have a more of a responding type, and they have to just tune into what feels good, and invitations come their way. Like I don't really get that many invitations to do things. I'm always the one like starting things. So people might be like, oh, how did you do that? Like you just do things. I'm like, that's just like natural for me. So I'm not in any way encouraging you to start doing things, even though I said that earlier, try the things, but try things that are for you. So whether it's opening up to more invitations, responding differently, is like knowing who you are is the greatest key to being your role in the community. And say like you want to be amongst community or you want to be more, just follow those little things that are keen to you.
Yeah. And for those listening at home that haven't heard of Human Design or Gene Keys, these are two different self-development platforms which you can pretty much go in online and plug in your date of birth, where you were born, and it's going to give you a bit of a rundown, a bit of a blueprint on how your mind-body system's put together, and certain ways of living that are going to be more for you, certain ways of relating that are going to be more for you. So it's good to have this as a bit of a guidepost of areas that we can start looking closer to in our life. So yeah, just to give that, and I love what you're speaking there of like, just because this is my nature and the way I do it, it's not necessarily about doing one thing in particular, but it's more so about knowing your nature and following that nature.
Yeah. So beautiful. Yeah, where should we go?
Yeah, absolutely. So from here, I want to take people on this journey of, sometimes we can hear these conversations and we can be inspired, but it can be like, how does this sort of connect with me? How does it connect with me? So I'd love to hear, when you have clients come to you, the people that you're helping and working with, what are the things that are coming up for them that they know that, hey, there's something in my life that's not quite right.
Yeah.
I know there's more here, but I don't really know how to get to that more, and I'm maybe spinning my wheels. So
yes,
these people coming to you, what are they experiencing?
Yes, a lot of times there's in a job that they don't like, or feel like they're just operating at 60%. A lot of it, that's another reason why I use energy, because people said that about me. I have so much energy. And so people are feeling drained. And another one is feeling inauthentic. Like you have to be a certain way and you just desire more. And so when they come to me, they're like, I feel like I've been trying to do that. Like I was in the same way. Like for my business, I was trying to make money a certain way. I was trying to get clients, but it was really hard to resonate. And for me, what always happens is there's usually some like sticky definitions that are not as clear as they could be. For example, a lot of clients come to me, they have this job that they're working, they want to do their passion, but they don't feel like they have enough time. They don't know how it's going to make money, and they don't want to go all in because they're afraid of like letting go. But there's a difference between being all in on your passion or versus saying, I'm going to do this until I'm ready to go all in. Those are two different things. And what I mean by that is, if you're all in saying, we had that video recently, decide, which means to cut out all options. I decide I'm going to be an energy coach. I don't need any of these other things. I can allow these other things to support me, but then the way you interact with all those other support systems is way differently than saying, I'm going to build this up to this huge stockpile and then do my passion. So often I find people that are not all in on themselves. They are not willing to express their true self, and it cuts to, for the sticky definitions I was bringing up was, for example, one person, the client was talking, I have helped them express emotions they've never put words to, and he's like, I want to follow my dream, and this is definitely my passion. And that's another thing I'm keen to. They say, I know this. That's like the heart talking. When you say, I think I should do this, that's more the mind. And say, I know I want to do this, but I want to be stable as well. Like my current job is stable. And that to me is the clue. Because why would your passion, your dream, not be stable? And that's a definition you have that you might not have had. So when clients come to me, a lot of times they're in that stuck pattern because I help raise that awareness of those subconscious programming we have. And I've had tons of them. I still do. That's what I still work through. But it's like, what is that your dream is not stable? Because you just said, I want to be stable. You're telling yourself I could be stable over here with my current job or chase my dream. It's like, why not both? And then that's the magic. Because if you say, why not both? You might say, well, I don't know how it's going to work. You don't need to know how. It will. Just like anything else. And then there's proof. Like you worked at this job where you feel like 60% passion and you're making 80 grand a year, 100 grand. Imagine if you had 100% passion, how much money that would make, just from an energetic standpoint. You'd be lit up every single day. And I like to put that back as like, if you're at a job you don't love and you're at like 60% passion, imagine if you just switch roles in that company and you're at 100% passion. People always say, well, I'm gonna have to take a pay cut, or because they just don't see this possibility. So it's really like, there's so many, as a coach, there's like so many other possibilities. I'm not in their head. I don't feel their emotions. I don't have their subconscious programming. There's so many other opportunities and new ways of being. And that's the magic of life, is saying that, what if this is possible? And being like, I have no idea how, but that's the beauty. Is like, if you choose to go towards that, you'll start to see evidence that it is possible.
I'm seeing this view of like you looking over a map of somebody's life, and they're coming in and they're sharing with you where they want to be, where they are now, why they can't get to. And you get to be that overseer and to see the other opportunities that they're blocking, right? Because as you're speaking about, when we have these limiting beliefs, they literally stop us from seeing different pathways. They stop us from potentially even seeing other visions that we might dream of, or things that we're excited by. But we've decided so deeply within ourselves that we can't have those things, that we end up deciding that we don't actually want them. Sometimes it's to protect ourselves from even feeling that, because if we felt it and we couldn't have it, there'd be so much grief involved. And so, it's cool hearing this sort of model of the world that the people come to you in. And I was just on a podcast yesterday, and we were speaking about becoming aware of these things is the first step, and like becoming aware of like, where am I blocking myself? And then the next thing is that then what do we like do from there? Because awareness isn't always enough. Like there's a next step. So I'm just curious, like during the process, once that person comes and starts journeying with you, what sort of things do you don't have to give us all your secret sauce here, but just like what things do you focus on to support that person to start stepping fundamentally?
Action. We don't take it right away, but our goal is to try to find an action as their new being. So at first, like I work with people, right now I have multiple people for 3 months, but I'm looking for people that want to work for a year, because this is a full transformation. Like I'm 32. I've been working on this for 7 to 8 years now, but my whole life, I still see operating procedures from my parents and different people that I'm like, oh wow, that I'm still operating at that. So the point is, if I've been operating at that for 30 years, it's not going to be fixed in one action. You got to like start doing that new process. So the process is helping them get awareness. So like I'm so fascinated about what that first step is to get people to talk to me, because the question before was like, what are people coming to me for? And it's like, it's not fun to live every day where it's like, I don't feel like I'm in that flow. Like there's been times you've been excited where things are happening for you, and it's like, there's so much more. And I feel like we have so much more time than we ever had, because like things happen so fast. We have so much entertainment. We have so much content. Like we know that there's more, but we don't know how to get there, and we don't know when to take the step. So all of those thoughts, plus all of our own beliefs, is what I'm fascinated to be like, it's time to stop hiding yourself. It's time to stop searching for a way. It's time to start being that person. And it's like, it's just that feeling of feeling alive. Like we've all had like exciting moments, but life is short. Like why would we not have more of those fun moments? So the process is, tell me everything. Where are you feeling stuck? Is it your relationship, like you feel like you're in, it's not the best? Is it your job where you feel like you don't want to be at that job forever? Is it in your body where you feel like you're literally painful, or you just feel like you can't hit a new level? A lot of times people come for that. And then what does it feel like? And what would you rather experience? Like I'd rather experience where a relationship that's inspiring. I'd rather have a job that lights me up, where I feel like I'm making an impact. That's a big one right now, is like, so many people come to me, they're at a job, that's okay, but they're not making an impact, or they don't feel like they can be their true self, or they're not like servicing the world. Like I think as men as well, is like we want to provide, we want to make our impact. And I feel like that is a way more beautiful paradigm we're stepping into, where a lot more leaders are stepping up. Instead of saying, I make my money, I build this business, it's like, what's my truest impact to this world? And so first step is, what is your dream? Like helping find that dream, and through that, a lot of times you find, what's your biggest fear? I'm afraid, like if I go for it and I fail, I'm crazy embarrassed, or like what would people think that I'm changing? And it's funny because people are like, if I change, people will be like, what, you're changing every moment, you know? It's like, let that happen. You're gonna stay the same? Like, what are you gonna stay the same your whole life? So we start with the dream, we get that clarity. Then that comes with the courage to say, this is who I wanna be. Like some people, I would like, one of my favorite moments where people are like, they're at this job, they're like, I wanna be an author. Or like, I want to be a speaker or a dancer or like something artistic, because that's kind of what I did. Is I went from this corporate IT job and I'm like, I'm an artist. Like I want to speak. And for having a dad from Brooklyn, it was not the most easy thing for me to be like, what the? I was questioning myself because I'm like, I want to be like him, you know, like that's my hero. But I felt so different. So it's like starting to notice where your blocks are in that process. You start to find the courage to be like, I actually want to do this. I want to be someone who lives their passion or follows their dreams. Even just being the person that goes for it is fun, right? You don't have to even achieve it, which is what I like to remind people is like, the second you say the courage, I want more, and you start working towards it, you feel great now. You don't have to lose weight. You don't have to make more money. You don't have to get the girl right now. The act of acting as that person, you're connected to your path. I believe we all have a unique, that goes back to the whole energy thing. Because we're all expressions, I believe we all have a very unique purpose in this world and a unique gift that sharing that to the world is our greatest service, it's our greatest fulfillment, and we all have that. And some people feel like some people can dream, some people can just have to do the regular way of living. I believe we all have unique gifts. So you have the clarity of where you want to go, the courage to start playing with that idea of like, I actually want to do this. And then it's the commitment. It's saying, I'm going for this, and it's taking any action. It could be so small. I'm telling you, somebody wants to be like a movie star, and their task we come up with that week is like writing that down in a journal, because now it's real. Now it's like, I want to be a famous actor. Like you wrote it on paper, because now all
like
the
claiming it, right?
Yes. So that's how small the action can be, but you have to take a step. And I've seen time and time again when someone takes one step towards that, they feel this fire come back because they're on that path again. They're realigned with their true self. And I really love the thought of, we only have these gifts because someone needs the gifts. And people only need the gifts because someone's gift is out there. Like you don't have this calling to be, I'll speak for myself, to be a famous actor or a speaker or a musician. For no reason. And my reasoning or my connection to energy is that it excites me from a pure place. And for so long it used to be like, is it my ego because I want to be on stage? But the thought of it going well is just like so exciting, gets me giddy. It's not, and I'm aware enough to be like, it's not just to be seen. It's not just for money. It's like, there's so many other ways to make money that might be easier and whatever. But the way it lights me up now, like when I think of like making a song that people, even now, like you can hear it. It's like when I think of a song that's on a big stage, I get fired up now, and then the proof comes, because then I start making that song, and then I have like cool things that come through my music, my creative expression, and my process that change my state of being, and then opportunities come, like yourself, like all of those things happen that. Now I see it as that formula. For example, I'm like, I want to be this facilitator, I want to do this, and I said no to other opportunities, and that put me in the mindset of hosting that event that we met at, right? But if I wasn't following what I love to do, like there was no reason for me to do that. It was like, I could have gone to see my family, but I felt called to do that. So when you follow that calling, you see how it changes your energy. And going back to energy first is when you, Bashar says this a lot, that channeling, it's like a spiritual teacher that I really love, where he says, circumstances don't matter, state of being matters. And he's very specific with the words, because the word like matter is like physical reality. So circumstances, like your outside, doesn't create matter. It doesn't create physical reality. Your state of being matters, which means that whatever your state of being is, matters. And the simple way to put that is like, nothing changes, and going all the way back, another one, to holding those polarities is like, I've gotten to a place where it's like, you can hold all of that and be paralyzed. You're so afraid of all the opportunity, all the possibilities that you're feel like, oh, it's a weight. It's like heavy, and you're like, what do I do with all of this stuff? But through the emotional resilience and the practices, you hold all these things, and you could be in the same exact circumstance and be in awe and wonder. And I'd rather be in that and feel that excitement than the other way. So that's what fired me up to practice that, because I'm like, okay, I've had these experiences where nothing's changed except my perspective. That's another thing I help with coaching, is they come to me with this one perspective of like, I have this job, I have this, but it's like, as a coach, I can show them, look this way. Have you looked at it from this way? And you have that perspective shift, and then they see it from a completely different angle, and then it aligns them to take that step.
Absolutely, because we can literally live in these worlds, right? Where we think this is reality, and all we're seeing and all we're thinking about and all we're talking about is about that life that we're living in, and potentially the limitations involved in it. So having somebody else to be able to nudge in for a bit, come next to your story, and to go, well, what about the rest of this happening over here? What about the landscape and the beautiful forest range over here? And like, you're not seeing it.
This is a good example. It's like sometimes they're like this, and I'm putting my head really close to a wall right now, and they don't know.
Yes.
And I've been there. Yeah. And then you could just tap them on the shoulder, or just look that way.
Yeah. And NLP talks about this really well. NLP is a neuro-linguistic programming, which is another teaching model. And it speaks about that we delete, distort, and generalize the information that we allow ourselves to receive through our five senses. We delete, distort, and generalize depending on our belief systems, but depending on the emotions that are stored in our body and our past experiences. So one person can look at a situation and see something completely different than the other. Same situation, but they're drawing out different things because they're filtering. I think it's only like 157 bits of information a second out of like 2 billion bits of information that are coming at us. If you imagine all these little bits, we're just grabbing this tiny little snapshot of reality, and then we're like, this is the truth. Yes. But it's our truth, and you open them up to bigger truths, which is beautiful. So I'm loving this journey that you're taking us through, and these different parts of the story. There was something that I really wanted to drop into that you were speaking about, but I'm going to trust that it comes back to me at another stage. So people come through this journey with you, and then what I want to hear is like, what comes out on the other side? How do people start experiencing themselves a little bit more? Yes. And it's when you talked about them taking this action. That's what I wanted to speak about actually, is the action. And what I'm hearing from you is the movement is the medicine. Like taking the action sometimes is the medicine, because it allows the blockages that were always going to be there anyway to come up to us. We almost draw them closer to us sooner so that we can deal with them and move past them, rather than them staying sort of there anyway. So as you get people moving, you get them clear on the vision. What's your experience with people? How do they start experiencing themselves, and what happens in their life?
So amazing. So I've had everything from relationships shifting to marriages to money, and it's just, but the greatest part of all of it is they feel their confidence within. So they finally feel like they're themselves. They feel this sense of freedom, that they can just walk the way they want. They go into a coffee shop, they can speak the way they want to speak. They can talk to people they want to talk. They're on their path, and they just feel connected to their true self. It's just this sense of freedom, instead of overthinking, instead of wondering which way I should go. They have this clarity and this pride within themselves that just feels like they are able to share themselves with the world. So just more connected with the world. So that is the feeling which I love. And then there's been things like someone was a personal trainer, and then they had to say no to certain clients, but we got to that place where it's like, that's the right step because it's not aligned with you. And then new clients came at a better rate. So he like made more money that week than he ever made. One client recently just made her first $90,000 a month. Wow. I work with women as well, but I'm really focusing on men this past week. But like, that was putting her energy first, because she could hold more capacity. She was, without getting too much into her story, it's just that there's a time where it's like, who am I to be at this level? Who am I to hold all these people? How do I know? But she's getting called to that, so it's allowing. Another man he's an elite athlete and was a little shy to film himself because he felt like, who am I to set up my camera in this gym? But one thing that I really love about that is saying, like if you're that sponsored athlete by like the top of the line company, you almost have to do it. Because like say you have to make content for them, it's like if the camera crew's there, you got to be doing, but you have to be that person now. You don't start as this and then it's like a pro. I like to say the pro athlete is like, you don't become an NBA pro in basketball by once you get drafted. You're a pro the whole time. Even when you're in high school, you have to act like that pro, and everything is just helping you embody that being of a pro. So my clients feel fully embodied in their purpose, aligned with their higher self, and that's a beautiful thing. And I always try to think of one more example is a lot of times they sleep a lot better. They have way better workouts. They have better performance. Their relationships shift. I had one where after a call, it's very moving because a lot of times they express something they never expressed. Like later that day, their partner brought something up to them that they've been meaning to say because now the energy's different. They had that conversation and now they're married. But they were like, and when I worked with them, they were afraid if they were going to separate or not. But like he knew he wanted to marry this person, but it was so difficult at the moment because they couldn't communicate. And by him communicating to me and sharing all these different fears, and it shifted energy. So it's all types of things. There's not one shift besides just stopping the feeling of you're limiting yourself or you're hiding your true self, and you have this sense of freedom and truly just authentic confidence within.
I was loving the very first bit that you spoke to, and yeah, thank you for showing us all those different pathways in the openings, man. And I love that first bit that you spoke to, and something also that sets my heart on fire, why the work I do, what I do as well, is when a person sort of experiences and walks in the room and they experience themselves in a new way. They're experiencing their uniqueness and they feel free in that uniqueness. And like, as you were saying that part, it made me remember again the importance of like, we can have all the things that the world tells us that we should have that give us freedom.
Yes.
We can have the time, we can have the money, we can even have the beautiful relationship, but without that connection to ourselves, those other things almost start to become worth less and less, because that internal freedom and that ability to connect to our own nature is number one, what draws in what is for us, but also is what allows us to receive that which is there. So like, I think as Tony Robbins speaks about, like the most unsuccessful move is to have everything, but yet not to be able to receive any of it. And that like, I can feel that in my heart of like, fuck, that's something that motivates me to continue to become present with myself and want that internal freedom that you're providing your clients with. And also something that like, when somebody has that online within themselves, it makes them so unique and peculiar and weird as a person, but in the best ways possible. And that they really stand out because, and it starts to make me realize how like society tries to make us a certain way, or there's certain beliefs of how we should be as men, how we should be as women, what it means to be successful. And when we follow that, it flatlines us. It takes away, maybe some of the dips of like going into emotion and feeling ourselves, but it also takes away our greatness off of the top. And it almost like takes us away from having our own personal journey. And then you've got these outliers that they've gone into the depths. They're just throwing the paint up against the wall. They're experimenting. And then you're like, who the fuck is this person? And those people that I meet that I'm like, whoa, who is this person? It's because I feel they've found this freedom in one way or another. They've found a way of being able to experience their unique gift, that like what God's put them on the planet to be fundamentally, that they've gone and they've taken the time to explore that. And even at the risk of not being as successful, they've maybe put the money off to the side or put relationships off to the side, the things that they should have. They've followed that freedom, and then they rebirth into like this shining star of like truth. And it's like life putting them there as a star to shine to other people of like, this is what you can be, not this person, but the essence of, what they're embodying is because they know themselves, and this is how they shine when they know themselves and they own themselves. So when you said that, I was just like, wow,
that was really well said. And I'm gonna piggyback, as we're not allowed to do in our other circles, but when you see somebody in that essence, my block with my own, I had low self-worth from being short as a kid, and like I would see somebody so free and authentic, I thought I should do it their way, no matter what it was, whether they were like a CEO or they were a speaker, I didn't have like what my calling was. I was like, maybe I should do it that way because I love how free they are. And so I didn't have many boundaries. I was like courageous to go for it, but I didn't know what I wanted. And so I bring that up because it's like when you see someone in their essence and their freedom, I think that's why we love certain performers or listen to certain people, because we see them so clearly in their brightest light. They are in their star form.
Yes.
And so everyone has that in their own unique way. And it's not like, for me, my downfall was like, oh, he's so free, I should do it that way. Or he loves to live life that way. Maybe he's so happy, I should do it that way, because I didn't have my own self-trust in my way being the best way. So it was easy to see when people were being authentic, but I'm like, okay, what's my version of that? And I think that's a beautiful coupling of saying, I want to feel that as alive as that person, and now this is my way of doing that.
Yeah.
So then you're constantly inspired, but you're also bringing your own unique light to it.
I think that's really powerful advice and just like guidance in general for all of us, right? I'm receiving from that as well. It's when we see that person shining, it's not about what they're doing, but the way I'm receiving it, just to put it in another way again, is it's their relationship with their genius and with their pathway and how they're connected to their unique pathway. And that's what the shine is. So it's just a good reminder, because still even now when I build my vision boards, when I build Pinterest boards out, sometimes I find myself getting pulled to the left and the right of like, whoa, this is what I need to do to be successful. But really more so than anything, dropping into, okay, what is that unique path for me? And that's actually what's going to give me that. So suddenly the question becomes different than how do I become like this person to how do I become more like myself to emit that same presence or that same particular values that person shares with the world.
Yep. And my response to how you get there, like one of the fastest routes or the unique gift you have, is follow your fun. So for me, I noticed I was following other people's routes. I'm like, oh, do I want to be a speaker? Do I want to be? But I kept having fun doing it. So I've tried other things, keep coming back to this. I try other things, don't like it as much. Or I keep getting inspired by the same type of person who do similar things, whether it's comedians, podcasters, public speakers like Tony Robbins. They all share the common thread of speaking, and I have my own twist on it. And so I think that goes back to the process, is like, what are you inspired by? Because if I ask my clients, what are you inspired by? They could be, I love this motocross rider, or like these NASCAR drive. I'm like, whoa, I'm not even near that, you know? So it's like, that's definitely part of your gift or somewhere you should go towards, because out of all the things you could have said, that's where I feel like our gifts come. Is like, out of all the things you could be inspired by, out of all the things you're drawn to, that's your clue. And then another clue I love to bring up is like, what did you do as a kid? And for me, I was always performing with my friends, looking back. The dunking, I love the performance aspect of it. Like, I loved being in front of people to do it. And so it's like clues as a kid goes back to that joy feeling. It's like you were just doing it for the fun. Like, that's your little gifts. And then now, who are you drawn by? And then that's how you start to figure out, like, that's your calling, that's your purpose.
Beautiful. Yeah. I feel like that gives a really nice sort of action task, some home play rather than homework, home play that people can
love that.
If they're wanting to go deeper into this, they're wanting to tap more into this energy to start exploring, like, and asking those questions of, what did I love to do when I was a kid? What things did excite me and inspire me? You don't know, but I actually did a podcast yesterday as well, and it was all around doing inner child work. So if people want to delve a little bit into another angle on it, have a look at that one as well. Nice. But this connecting with the inner child, because that inner child within us has so much wisdom, and I'm loving this as part of like what you're sharing with people as well, and how connected it is.
I love it. For the action, I have a really cool, fun one. Is for the magic, to tap into the magic, is like, what does your inner child want to do? What are you drawn to? And then just do it. Like, and I say do it because, say it's like, I want to just like play some music or try to like learn an instrument, or it's I want to like go on a date, whatever it is, that's a little bit of just pure childhood type joy. Because when you do it, it changes your state. Like for me, when I rap, I play music, sometimes when I'm in my head, I'll just rap and I'm in a different state. And then that's how you can shift your own perspective. So if you're in that stuck place, you're feeling a little drained, you don't have to figure out what to do. You can just change your state. And sometimes those little joyful activities, whether it's going to work out, like practicing a new stretch. Like maybe you want to learn how to backflip, so you're doing cartwheels. Well, I don't know. But it's like those things that have no meaning, change your state. And then I just really hope that you do take that action, because then when you change your state and you come back to your life that was draining you or was making you feel lost, you'll be like, oh wow, you might see a whole new opportunity. And that is such a powerful thing to just, even if it's like cook breakfast. I just want to give as many examples as I can. It's like, I want to try a new recipe. Just do that, because then your mind's thinking of this, you're having a little bit of fun. Now back to energy, to sum it all up. Now you just radiated that fun, at that bliss, at that joy frequency, which is the highest frequency living in this reality. So you don't have to get yourself there by doing certain things like get money, I gotta work really hard, then I'll be joyful. It's like, no, do the joyful thing and then watch how everything shifts. And you can see your job from a joyful state. You're like, I'm so happy right now, F that job. And it's like, okay, that's the truth. You don't want that job because it's not at this state. So I love your home play. Inner child, joyful action, and watch how now you're vibrating and your external reality is simply a mirror to your internal vibration.
Absolutely.
Bars.
Energy comes first.
Energy first,
Boom.
baby. That's it. That's it.
Good work.
So fun.
Yeah, I feel like this caps it up beautifully, man. I know there's so much deeper we can go into other topics, but we'll leave it for next time.
Yeah.
Keep this nice and compact for this journey, and thanks for joining us, guys. If you want to connect with Energy Steve, where's the best places to drop in with you, bro?
Probably Instagram, but Energy Steve on all platforms. Instagram's Be The Energy Steve, but if you type in Energy Steve, I'm easy to find.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll pop these all down in the link below so you can click down and have a chat, reach out to him. He's on his personal Instagram page, so it will be him getting back to you at this stage in the next couple of years. As he keeps growing, it won't be. Yeah. I know that.
Come
I can already
see me live at a musical performance, maybe?
Yeah. He's also a rapper, also organising a lot of events down here in LA. So get involved.
Let's chat.
And get amongst community, because there's lots of beautiful things happening down here. Thank you for joining us, guys. Thank you, Steve, for being here with us, man. Thanks for sharing your wisdom, and looking forward to our next chat. And for the listeners, we'll see you on the next Manhood podcast episode. Have an epic one.
Greg is the man, isn't he? Let's go.
Bonus if they notice, give me credit, that'd be nice. If they saw me for my truth, that'd be nice. If they give me feedback, that'd be nice. Fuck it, I don't need it. Me and Steve celebrating twice. Man, I detach. Fuck no, I can't reach back. Got boundaries like a mean cat. She turned around in her seat fat. I lean back and do it. How you doing? I'm a movie, I'm on screen. All I need is my reflection. That's my best friend, and we out here really doing this. I got this